Hey there, seekers of spiritual, tangible results.
Welcome to the No Nonsense Zone, where common sense meets the spiritual. I'm Jason Parks.
I'm Emma Romano, your unapologetically real spiritual guides.
We don't sugarcoat, we don't dance around the woo-woo, we just deliver the raw, kick-ass truth.
Join us each episode as we dive deep into the mystical, cut through the bullshit, and show you how to manifest the tangible results you've been craving for.
No fluff, no filters, just two mentors on a mission to elevate your mind, body and soul.
Get ready to transform your life like never before. This is Soul Aligned Results.
Hello everybody, this is Soul Aligned Results. You've got Emma Romano here and the amazing
Jason Parks.
Hello. So Jason, take it over, buddy. This is all yours.
Okay. So we were just talking a moment ago about when people start off in the work, and there's a couple of phases, and it's really important to understand this, that in the beginning, everything's new and exciting, and it's great. So we start to feel really good about it. And then we actually get to the point where the work begins, where you have to start dealing with your own restrictions in your pain body and all of that sort of stuff.
Can you give an example of what you're talking about?
So a person might turn around and say, a person might read a book.
Yep.
Or they might watch a clip on YouTube, and they'll get a really good idea. And those ideas are valuable if you can action them. If you can't action them, they're just more stuff going around your head.
Mm-hmm.
So say, for example, you get that and you start taking action. Well, you start taking action, doing something you've never done before, you're going to get results you never had before. And if it's a positive idea, you're going to get better results than you ever got. So you're going to get really, really excited. And often what happens is we make that too big. And that's because if you get into social media and all that sort of stuff, you're going to see people lying continuously about how easy it is. And it's not. It said there's nothing easy about this process, because this process is life.
Mm-hmm.
That there's levels of existence where there is more ease, more grace, more kindness, more joy, and there's levels of life where that's almost non-existent. But none of it's like easy. So we all have to do what we call the work. So, but it's really, the work is just you growing, you thriving. That's the work. So what I want to talk about is really how we get caught in the idea that this is something that should be easy, therefore I should be able to do this in a weekend. And it's not true. It's like, it's younger generation. It's sad we're at that point where we can talk about this realistically.
Yeah, go on.
That there is a generational difference. Like Emma, you and I are Gen Xers, right? So we were raised with an idea that life is a shit sandwich. And by the way, you're probably gluten intolerant, right? So that's just how it is.
Yep.
So you get used to it. It's just like, hardship, that just happens. But with marketing and with social media, what we've seen over the last 20 years is that there's this idea that it's like, no, it should be easy. It should be just like ordering something online. You should be able to be whatever you want to be, and the whole world's going to support you, and you're going to think happy thoughts, and, the law of attraction is going to back you up, and you can be whatever you want. Now, there's some people that can do that. That's true. Some people can literally go, I want this, and it turns up. So that's great. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I met a fellow one time who was an amazing manifester, just ridiculous. Said he used to catch up every Wednesday night with his mates to do law of attraction work. And when they first started, he was like, okay, I want to get $1 million. I want $1 million. And he went to bed. No worries. Got up the next day, checked his bank balance, laying in bed, and there was over $1 million in his bank account. And he's like, oh my God, what is going on? Now, his advantage was that he was a lawyer, right? So he was just like, oh, this ain't right. So he contacted the bank, and the bank went, oh no, there was a bank error. Sorry, $1 million got put into your account. So they took it out. Now.
But he got his $1 million.
Got his $1 million. So, Yeah, and that happened to him a couple of times because the second time he went.
I'm going to give you a right, honest answer. I would not ring anyone. I would have that $1 million out of that bank account within 2 seconds flat.
Yeah, but
would have been spent, mate. Let me tell you.
Yeah, and then you'd be able to enjoy the thoughts of it in the big house for a while. So that's what happens. So yeah, so he did that. But what was funny was that the following week, he went back and he went, "This is what happened." His mates went, "Oh, you should do something new." He said, "Right, 10 million." He said 10 million. And next day, he's going about his business, and this guy keeps ringing him, a guy he knew for ages. And he's like, I want to buy you a coffee. I want to buy you a coffee. He's just like, oh God, all right. He did it. Anyway, this guy was talking to him about this business. And because he's a lawyer at a legal firm, they got the escrow thing where funds can be transferred. Long story short, he said, this guy's like, oh, I got this business partners. This is what they want to do. It's just moving accounts. It's all legal. Everything's fine. They went through it and said, well, it sounds all right on paper. He said, well, what would my percentage be for what would the money that I'd get for holding it in escrow? And when they worked it out, it was 10 million.
Oh my goodness.
And anyway, he's like, oh my God. So, all right, sitting with it. They're going through the process. But they got to a point where it was like, wait a minute, this isn't as legitimate as we thought. And it wasn't his friend. His friend was caught up in it too. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh no, he'd been misled. So they pulled out of it. And they were just like, yep, no, so that didn't happen. And I remember the conversation because it was so funny, because it was like, have you thought about manifesting with integrity? And it was like, oh, it's like, yeah, how about I want $1 million, but it comes to me in a way that I get to keep it and it's in alignment with my ethics.
Yeah, and it's good for the world. Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. So we kind of hear stories about people can do this, and then we get into it. We have usually a little bit of success because our view of ourselves is smaller. And that's what's going to dictate what comes in. So if you've got a very small view of yourself, you won't allow yourself to get big things to come in. Most of the spiritual work is expanding your awareness of how great you could be.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's important to note that the more you're listening to other people's stories about how great they are, how much more that reinforces the smallness for you, because it's a level of contrast. We think we're being inspired by these people, but we're really not. I remember watching a bit of a documentary about, it was a movie that was made, and the main character was an unsuccessful motivational speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And the actor was talking about when he took the role, he went and had a look into it. And he was saying at that time, Tony Robbins was making, his companies were worth about $500 million at that time, right? Now, the average earning amount of a motivational speaker in the US at that time, which really hasn't changed much today, was around 26 to 29,000.
Yep.
And that guy's making $500 million, right? So people look at the extreme 1% and they go, okay, that's normal. That's not normal.
That's not normal.
Right? Normal is about 29 grand. So if you look at that, most people go, well, I don't understand why, because let's face it, the reason is very simple. Most people earn 29 grand because they're not doing the work.
Yeah.
Out of integrity. If you're out of integrity, you're not going to earn money. So you're not going to manifest, because you're going to manifest from what you're in alignment with, not what you think you're in alignment with. So
what do you suggest to somebody who comes in and says, I've got this bigger idea, this is who I want to be, it's all it, and then they're so overwhelmed that they're not doing anything?
Well, great question. So, first of all, actually, I've got points. So there's my points, because that's a perfect question, right? So the first thing is you've got to lower your expectations. You've got to lower your expectations about who you are and what you can do, because most of that is a trick of the pain body. It'll overinflate your ego to make you think that you can really have it all, And then when you hit the first stumbling block and you land on your face, you're not going to want to get up again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? That keeps you where you are. Not a problem. Pain body strategy. So what you need to do is you really need to lower that expectation to be able to say, this is not a thing of potential. This is a thing of capacity. So within my current capacity, I might be able to take, so you might be thinking, I want $1 million business, $10 million, $1 billion, whatever it is. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Is it likely? Probably not.
No.
And that's because if it was likely for you, you'd already be pretty close to it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be a billionaire and you're saying, oh, I'm just feeling a bit stuck at the 700 million mark, then it's like, yeah, it's pretty likely that that's going to happen for you. But if you're stuck at the $29,000 mark, it's probably not likely.
Yeah.
So lower that expectation about what's going on, because it'll bring you into reality. And reality is bigger than you think. It's not when people say to you, oh, just be realistic. It's like, no, realistic is you are bigger than you can possibly imagine.
Mm-hmm.
The power that you can draw on is beyond your human consciousness to hold. So that is real. Whether or not you're going to find out how you can do it, I said, well, that's the other thing. So first thing, get a realistic point of view. And that is, I have the potential for greatness, but my capacity will restrict that. I need to expand my capacity. That's the first point. The second point is you need to, you can't be a professional anything in a weekend. I heard a person say this once.
So true.
Yeah, I heard a person say this once, and it's always stuck with me, because often we hear things like Reiki, for example. Like Reiki's a prime example, because people will say, I'm master level practitioner on Reiki, and my mentor, I'm going to be very honest here. When I was working with my mentor, and we first started working together, she goes, right, I know what I'm going to teach you. And I'm like, okay, this is really exciting. And I had a lot of background in the past. She goes, right, we're going to do Reiki. And I'm like, you cannot be serious. And it's like, you're saying inside. But it was like, well, okay, think about it. This person has been right on the money. I trust this person and they're my mentor. So I'm going to tough it out and see what it's like. Well, I started doing Reiki and I thought, yeah, okay, this is interesting. And then I learned it the way she taught it. And that was, okay, you do Reiki's basically in 3 levels. And the first level of Reiki takes anywhere from 6 to 12 months, because you have to assimilate it. Mm-hmm. You have to make yourself big enough to be able to get to level 2. So level 1's all about you and personal transformation and your first area of effect about you, your relationships, your family, right? And when that's integrated, then you're really ready for level 2, which is when you can start to work on other people outside of that.
Yep.
And then when you've integrated that, which takes time, so then you're ready for level 3. And level 3 is where you're ready to pass it on. Now, the thing that I hear constantly about Reiki is people go, oh yeah, I did all the Reijus in a weekend, like all of the transmissions in a weekend. And they're like, yeah, I understand Reiki. And it's like, yeah. So how much Reiki do you do now? Oh no, I don't really practice it.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. So it's useless to you. It's just a word that you get to say, oh, I'm a Reiki master. So you can't master anything in a weekend. So all you do is cheat yourself of growth.
Yeah.
So, but we all have our own versions of it. So you got to let yourself sit comfortable with the idea that genuine skill will take time. It will take time to develop. There's
genuine success takes time too.
Exactly right.
It really does. And so many people, especially in the business of therapists, inspirational speakers, they love to give up. I mean, they think they're very inspirational. I want to be this inspirational speaker. I want to be a therapist. I want to help people. Yeah, but you're going to have to stick at it.
Yeah.
And when the going gets tough, you might have to go and get a job as well and just do it on the weekend.
Yeah.
Just so you can do it.
Yeah.
Are you willing to do that? No, I'm not willing to do that. Then go get a different job.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, they're not willing to, because there's a whole adventure towards getting the success. And even when you're at the success, that adventure changes as well. Because that success can freaking piss off very quickly.
Yeah.
I think, I really believe there's a couple of things to really embrace and embody when we're wanting permanent change in something, whether it's permanent wealth, permanent success, permanent great business, permanent health. One is consistency.
Yep, absolutely.
And two is you have to trust yourself that you can create it.
Yeah.
And I think that is where these two things are where people fail the most. In my experience of doing this for like 9 years now, that's my greatest experience with clients. I haven't read that anywhere. That is just human experience. It has been people fall over with the consistency and people fall over with, I don't actually believe I can create this. I don't believe in myself. I don't believe I can do it.
Yeah.
Because belief creates action. So you're either actioning away from or actioning towards.
Yeah.
But there's always an action. Even sitting on the couch watching Netflix is still an action.
That's exactly right.
You're still actioning. That's where people go, oh, I'm really bad at actioning. Actually, you're a fucking master at actioning. You're just really, really bad at actioning the right shit.
Yeah.
And it's because there's no one consistency. Number one is consistency. Sorry. And two is I say to my clients, I go, do you believe you can actually achieve it? No. Well, no wonder you're not doing it.
Yeah.
Can you even believe or trust yourself to be consistent in it? No. Well, then you're fucked. Because no one else can do it for you. There's no process, there's no mentor, there's nothing that can make you, that a mentor is not sitting there with you 24/7 moving your arms and legs.
No, that's exactly right.
You know, it's huge. They're my two massive things.
You got to let yourself get a run up, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Some people think they think they're going to Superman it and they're going to stand at the bottom of a skyscraper and jump up. It's like, no. What you might need to do is get a bit of a run up. You might need to, the first step in your run up is actually getting through the revolving doors at the start of the skyscraper, right? And then it's getting to the lift and it's getting in the lift to go up.
Yeah.
And you got to sit there as it goes up and it takes time. Yep. But you get out and you're on top of the building. Great. It's not dazzling. It's not as exciting as doing the big jump from the ground. I said, but it's doable.
And I feel the success comes with the mastership and the success comes with who are you and who are you choosing to be in the adventure before you get to the success.
Absolutely. It's without that, you've got nothing.
Yeah, because it's like, we don't learn trigonometry in prep. We have to learn our, I was going to say our ABC, but they're numbers. 1, 2, 3. We have to learn our 1, 2, 3s. Then we learn pluses, minuses, times, division, algebra, all of them before we even learn trigonometry. It's like there is a process to it. But if you just go straight to trigonometry, you're going to have to go backwards. You have to. You have to go back and collect the information and knowledge that was at that other level.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to. So if things are a little bit slow, if there are any listeners out here, they're like, I'm doing the freaking work. I'm doing it. And it's slow. Good. You're doing it right.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep going. Be more consistent. Be consistent with it and stop shitting on yourself for it being slow. because you are at mastership level. You're really embodying where you're meant to be today. But if you shame yourself around it, you're messing it up.
Yeah. You'll quit halfway.
Yeah.
Said that's the problem. That's what most people's failure is, just simply because they quit. It's nothing else. Said your 2 points that you made are really important. Consistency is number one.
Yep.
Okay. And let yourself have a run up. Said if you turn around and you go, right, I want to get really fit, or I want to lose a heap of weight, or I want to do something like that, or I want to build a business. Said, say for example, when I first started doing energy work, okay, my first year, I think I did 3 sessions, maybe 4 sessions in 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
None of them were paid. But they were friends of friends. They were just, oh, can you have a look at this? Okay. Right. That was it. And then it started to build. But what I did was I got there every day and I blocked it out. I know you and I have talked about this before because you had the teddy bear, right? You start off and you go, okay, if I have to make space for my dream to live in.
Yes.
It's really important. So if you decide that you're going to work and you've only got 1 session a week, you can only do 1 hour a week on a Saturday morning or something. And it might only be 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. You book that out. And if somebody's in there and you're working on them, fantastic. And if they're not, you're in there and you're developing your skills.
Yes.
You go in there and treat it, because that consistency is what's going to build it. I'm going to talk about Kung Fu for a minute. I'm going to talk about Chinese martial arts because it's great metaphors for it. And the word Kung Fu is what's generally used to mean Chinese martial arts, but that's a westernized watering down of a term Kung Fu. Now, Chinese martial arts are called Chuan Fa or Wushu or Wukong, right? They're not called Kung Fu. So that's what they're called in the West. You say Kung Fu, everyone looks at it like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Okay.
Didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. Because Kung Fu means, in Chinese, Gong, work, effort, over sustained effort, right? Skill. You have to work hard to develop skill. Fu means passage of time. So it's like, yeah, it's consistency, right, over time. And if a person does that, then they demonstrate a level of ability that's beyond the normal person. When someone does that, they say, they got Kung Fu. That's why it's called Kung Fu. Because when you demonstrate a level of skill beyond what normal person will do, they say, yeah, there you go, that's Kung Fu. Up until then, it's just martial arts, it's Wushu. So it's in it. The thing that's really important about it is you need to, there's processes. What you said is spot on. There are processes. If you can't stand properly, there's an old Chinese saying is that first you have to stand before you walk.
Mm-hmm.
You have to walk before you run before you jump, and think before you do any of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of the work is developed that way. And it's quite incredible when you look at it. It's the systems that have been around for centuries, and they work, but they're hard. You have to lift to the level of the work. And I think this is the thing where most people get stuck. They expect the work will come to them. Success will come to them. So the level of success you have today is the level of success that came to you. So if you want more than this, you have to go to where it lives. And that means you have to get off your ass and take the action.
Yep.
So all of that process, that's the Kung Fu process of saying, okay, I make a bigger version of myself, and I have to do it again and again and again. And I have to do it through effort, and I have to do it through consistency. But I also, part of the thing where you said where it's observable about people don't believe it. The reason they don't believe it is because they don't take the time to master their tools.
Mm.
I can't tell you how many times I hear this where people are saying, we're saying Reiki, like Reiki's a great example. People will turn around and they go, oh yeah, I did Reiki in a weekend. And I just got rid of all this section of it. They said, that's a waste of time. It's like, how would you know? You've had, 6 hours of experience at Reiki?
Yeah.
Then how do you know what's valuable and what's not? So it's your job as a student to stick with it long enough until you do understand.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the think before you do any of them, right? You've got to use the tools. You have to master the tools. So it is no good just trying to wing it, because all you're going to do is create in the same bandwidth where you already are, and you're going to get the same results that you already have.
Exactly. And I say this because, I do a lot of training of processes.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding you. I had 6 calls just on the weekend. I started today teaching, and I had 6 calls on the weekend. And these people all have a lot of modalities under their belt, and they want to be successful therapists. And I go, so what's your success like now? I don't have a client. Why not? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I think if I do your course, it'll be different. I went, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just, it's another modality. I mean, you'll have me ass kicking you and getting you into shape. But if you can't get a form of success with what you've already got, this is just another course then.
Yeah.
And I will not lessen my work as just another course. I would never put it in that category. It's too important and it works. And I'm not putting it into the category that you've done everything else and nothing's worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't lessen it, and it's the difference of, I've got 5 people in this container ship. I actually could have had around 14 to 15.
Yeah.
But people are desperate, and they're sitting there going, oh, look, if I just do one more, I do so many courses. If you're doing so many courses, why aren't they working? Because you can't tell me that something's not working. Even if you took one process out of any of those courses, what have you mastered? What are you seeing your clients with? I don't have any clients. Well, how long have you been studying for? Oh, I've been doing courses for 5 or 6 years now. You've never had a client? No. All right. We need to look at your energy. We need to look at your belief systems. We need to look at that. You don't need another process to learn. We need to work on you.
Yeah.
But they don't like that. People don't like it.
No.
I just need to consume something else.
Yeah. And that's the culture. The cultural paradigm is there's a magic bullet, there's a magic pill, there's something you can buy that will make it happen, and it's not.
There's not. And here's something I want to leave everybody with. When you're yearning for something and you're really pleading for something and yearning for it, whether it's success or money or relationship or anything, and you're really, really yearning for it, you're hungry. You're actually coming from lack. Because when we pine for something, it means I lack it here. And we will only receive what we are radiating. So you're actually not radiating want, you're radiating lack. Because you're pining for something. Yeah. Instead of pining, start actioning, start being consistent with your actioning. Even if you fuck it up, it doesn't matter. At least you're being consistent with it. Like, we all fuck shit up. Be consistent with it, but trust yourself that you can build whatever you are wanting to build.
Yeah. You're just going to have to you're just going to have to do the work.
That's it. Got to do the do. You got to do the do. Jason, is there anything else you want to share with these amazing, lovely people?
No, I think that's it. I think today that's it. Let us know. They need to stop listening to us and start doing something.
I know. And are we triggering you? We're supposed to be.
Yeah. Why we do this.
Kind of our job. And the reason a trigger is just a diagnostic tool to see what needs to be mastered within your own life. That's what a trigger is. Guys, we love you. Thank you so much for listening. We honor you. We adore you. Please contact us, solarlineresults.com. Go on all the social media, Solarline Results. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.